You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Anil, I run the drone group at Intel, and I'm here to talk about how the data revolution will be enhanced using drone technology. The most important aspect about drones is not just about their ability to fly and fly, automated missions, the ability to be able to program them, to make repeated missions, but the ability to capture data. And the kind of data that is in a commercial set of applications, a wide range of data, whether it's an infrastructure inspection, whether it's a survey, whether it is a flare stack in an oil rig, no matter what kind of, or if it's a disease or some kind of a, differential index that you want to go look from agriculture, no matter what kinds of capabilities you're looking at, it's going to be about the data and the data that these devices, these wonderful devices, are going to be capturing over the next decade. And if you look at the flight system itself, I would like to say that drones are going to be one of the most transformative and versatile tool in the coming decade in being able to work across so many different kinds of usages. And in my 20 years in the industry, being a technologist, it's very hard to come by and say, you look at a piece of technology and you see the diverse set of applications that this wonderful piece of device can be applied towards, and those are going to be drones. And it's not only about the flight systems and how the flight systems operate, it's about how you manage and how do you, help bring critical information based on the data you're capturing. And you need to transform your business from an enterprise standpoint. What do customers really care about? It's not about the data and the huge amounts of terabytes of data that you may be bringing to the table. They want to do things more efficiently, more cost effectively, and faster. So they need to be able to transform how technology is being used in use cases that they do every day today, like I talked about, inspection or some other use cases. For Intel, why does this matter? As we talk about data, and if you think about the drones as a device that captures data, you really need to have smartness on the drones. If you want to be able to take the drone and to be able to be aware of its surroundings, you need to have sensors that can do collision avoidance or obstacle avoidance. If you want to have the drones to detect certain faults or defects, you need to have artificial intelligence or machine learning on the edge, as we like to call it, on the drone itself. You need to be able to have software that can process all this data. And what kind of data? You need storage, whether it's onboard storage or storage in the cloud or storage on a client device. You're talking about lots of data that's being captured. One drone can capture up to 50 gigabytes of data, depending on the sensor or the payload you're carrying. And then transferring all this data, you need to have a network, a connectivity, whether it's talking about drone to a ground station, or a ground station to a cloud, or in the future, the drone to cloud itself. The ability for this data and vast amounts of data to move efficiently and cost effectively so that we could leverage them at different points. And last, in the cloud, as you are processing new kinds of information, you want the cloud technology to evolve. You want the cloud technology to get faster and more efficient as well. And you have artificial intelligence and other tools to take these vast amounts of data and make it simple for us to consume and understand. Intel is working on technologies across the spectrum, and we are the only company that's able to provide technology all the way from data center to the device itself, the drone, which is flying here, and all the software and capabilities through that value chain. We call it the virtuous cycle of growth for Intel, because what this cycle of growth is doing is moving data. And data that is in huge amounts compared to the data that's going to the cloud today. If you look at today, majority of the data going to the cloud is through devices in our hands, which is a smartphone. And if you put that into context, we are talking about data that's about a gig or a gig and a half a day that's coming from your personal devices, the pictures you take, the video you take, the applications you use. When we are talking about drones, one single drone flight, as you can take 500 images, high resolution data, 30 megabyte files. This is a 42 megapixel sensor on it, for example. And if you start flying 75 drones in a day, and you say, I'm going to do automated missions through the day, which is an 8-hour workday, you just multiply the math, and now you're looking at 18 terabytes of data. Now I can tell you, each one of you, if I give you that 1 day of data and say, can you go analyze and tell me what's wrong, you're going to say, what am I going to do with this? You need infinite manpower to go sit and assimilate that information. And this is where the power of technology will come in. How can I take this vast amounts of data and to be assimilated, to be able to annotate it, to be able to cluster it, to make it meaningful. Otherwise, this data is not going to be valuable for us, right? Data as a means of capture is one thing, but data as a means to make our lives better is what the value is. And how we are able to then transcend in using this data is going to be a key cornerstone in how this technology of drones will apply in the commercial industry. Today, it's a very fragmented process. There's a lot of different applications, different use cases, a lot of experimentation going on, but everything in those processes told us one thing, that drones can actually be able to solve the problem. So we know that. We know in different experiments and different POCs that I can take a drone and I can inspect an asset and I can get valuable information and with the aerial information that I have that I couldn't do before. But how can you do this in a scalable way? How can you do this in a repeatable way? And how can you do this in a way that you can actually work across organizations, team members? That's going to be the way you're going to transform. And that transformative capability is the next step of adopting drone technology more at a scaling fashion in this industry. And two things have to happen for that technology. One, you need to have the technology that can give you the tools to do it. And number two, customers, enterprise need to adopt this technology. Because keep in mind that they are transforming how technology is using for an application. For example, today they do surveying. They have tripods and laser scanners and they capture survey information. That's been done for decades. So they have a very, I would call it a mature workflow that they're using. Now when you have something like drones that can enhance, augment, or even replace in some day about that capability with lots more data, you need to be able to first be able to provide the tools to make that results available. If you're inspecting assets, for example, you need to bring the value of technology that make the inspection even more enhanced. Can I be able to fly the asset inspection multiple times a year? Can I be able to bring predictive capabilities and say, here's how this asset is having a rust over time? Can I then be able to predict when is that going to fail? Those are the kinds of insights that the industry will be looking for, and the options and the opportunities are going to be infinite as this technology evolves. So what I'm here to talk about first is how all this data comes together and what is Intel doing in this journey. Right? Typically, we all know about drone systems. Of course, at Intel, we evolve and we build drone systems as well. And over the last few years, through acquisitions and capabilities, we are building systems. Now, there are many companies that are building systems out there, and we think of the system as a way to capture the data. But being able to capture the data needs to be automated. You need to be able to have the repeatability, you need to have the accuracy, and the right sensors to be able to capture that information. You have to really think of the drone is the tool to capture the data that I want. And the way to capture that information is going to be through flight planning or mission planning. And you need to have a tight correlation on how the mission planning makes it easy to deploy a mission on the field. But once you do all that, you're going to get this 18 terabytes of data. And what am I going to do with it? If it is sitting in a hard drive somewhere, it is of no value. You got to apply computing and you got to apply technology to it. And you want to make it easier so the person who's looking at this data feels that it's actually much easier to handle this data than not having this data. And that's where the data processing, whether you need to create 2D models, orthomosaics, 3D models, processing it, setting it up, being able to make it actionable, and then providing analytics and reports that are valuable. And that's where the Intel Insight platform comes in. And today, we are talking about Intel Insight platform. As you know, at Interdrone last year, we highlighted and announced Intel Insight platform, and we showed a demonstration of it. And we've been working very hard at it. We partnered with Delair and built this platform ground up for enterprise use cases. Before I discuss more about it, I want to run a quick video and give you a highlight of what Intel Insight is all about.
As enterprises worldwide look for new ways to unlock the full potential of data, we are increasingly discovering the immense potential value of asset digitization. Also known as digital twin technology, it's a process that has been identified as one of the most important trends in all of technology and promises to put the hidden power of data to work by advancing the digital transformation of almost any business. The process begins with the digital capture of physical assets. Once captured, this digital information enables the creation of virtual software replications that can then be used in critical business planning, simulations, analysis, and execution. Intel Insight is a comprehensive cloud-based platform designed specifically to simplify and accelerate the process of asset digitization. The Insight platform provides a ready-to-implement, fully integrated approach for companies that want to create, store, and analyze the performance of their worldwide assets, all of which makes the Intel Insight platform the perfect centerpiece for a comprehensive portfolio of asset digitization solutions, especially when combined with the power of Intel solutions in the cloud, data center, mobile PCs, and beyond. The result is a total digitization strategy that can help companies of every kind reduce costs, improve efficiency, and fuel growth by unlocking the value of hidden data to help their business take flight.
Intel Insight platform. It's a cloud-based data processing, collaborative analytics and reporting platform. It has been designed with tons of capabilities that is going to help enterprises unlock value. It works with industry-leading processing engines, Pix4D and Bentley. These are capabilities that you can choose without having to have individual licenses that you may need separately, but gives options to the customers in using this capability. We partnered with Delair in bringing a very, very enterprise-centric workflow that is allowed for collaboration, team members, as well as how the information can be handled. One of the most important things, and one of the customers that I was talking to, was that as they do an inspection, quite often they have to take an inspector to the field. And that inspector's time and resource is one of the longest, time-taking process because he's in the field overseeing the inspection process. If technology can help have the inspector be in his back office at the comfort of his computer and being able to process information that is actually presented to him in which he can apply his knowledge on, they can scale the inspections and be much more efficient and do a lot more. That kind of capability only happens when technology can be applied, where you can be flying the drone in one location and you could have software and capabilities that can let you inspect and manage it in another location. And the person who needs to go act upon that information may not be the inspector. He needs to be able to send that information to a technician who may need to go act upon it, and that's not necessarily the drone pilot. And the ability to go send out a report to a technician who needs to go act upon it, and having all of this seamlessly archived, being able to manage them repeatedly, being able to have the history, and being able to share information back and forth in a team structure. That's the foundation of how Intel Insight was designed for and is built upon. To show more about Intel Insight, I want to invite Roland, who will give us a demonstration of what Intel Insight is all about and how we can leverage Intel Insight in some of the use cases I explained.
Okay, hi everybody, my name is Roland. Thanks very much for having us, and thanks very much for coming to look at the demonstration.
Thanks, Roland. By the way, his accent and my accent are very different, so if you have any questions, do interrupt. And what we're going to do here, and first, Roland, where are we?
Okay, so as Anil said, the platform has been developed to be extremely enterprise-centric. So when you step into the platform straight up, we're talking about seeing the geographic locations of your assets, and also at the same time being able to understand that within a particular site you might have different assets or buildings or projects going on.
So first of all, what you're seeing here is Intel Insight platform running live. It's on the cloud, and we are here on a client system being able to showcase some of the capabilities.
Sure, so as you can see, what I've said is I've gone, okay, I need to see all my assets that are located in Chandler. In this particular instance, I've just searched directly by the geolocation. It's gone in and given me a list of 2 particular projects. Now in this instance we have a roof inspection and we have a facade inspection.
So Roland, if you allow me.
Yeah, fine.
So you're telling me that you have an asset in a specific location.
Yeah.
So you've designed this as an asset-based approach.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so rather than taking the approach of being a drone pilot that's just collecting data in a one-off instance, we're trying to view assets as being geographically dispersed and extremely long-term in terms of history. When you build a building or a bridge, you're expecting them to be decades, if not 50, 100 years old, right? And that means that the engineers working for the team, they may not be there when the next inspection comes around. And so we're trying to build this so you have everything in the same location, and then again and again over history as it builds.
And why this is critical is that the asset-based approach based on a geolocation allows you to tag repeated flights over the same location. And that provides a great foundation for you, and Roland will show you some of those examples.
Yeah, sure. So, look, I guess as an example, what I'll do is, just deciding to create a new project myself. I can just go in. One thing for us is we know that the images are extremely important, but you're not always going to process everything. So you can throw the data straight up in the cloud, or have your pilots throw data in the cloud, and either start your inspection directly on those images or process them. And it doesn't have to be the same person. Okay.
So hold on, I want to pause on that.
Sure.
What Roland said is something very important. When you talk about a drone workflow, you want to commission a project and you want someone to fly. Now the person who's flying that is capturing data for you, you want that person to upload the data. But he may not be the most well-informed on what you want to do with that data. So you could have different workflows. On the other hand, you could have a person who's very well informed and is able to do everything from what I need to go process, and he knows that information. So this tool gives you that flexibility where you could have the pilot just upload the data, and then you could choose where the person in the back office then decides how I want to process it, because processing has options and capabilities and accuracies that you can go define. And what part of the project you want to process. Maybe you capture 10 buildings, you only want to go work on 1 building. So this tool is designed to give you that flexibility where the person who's flying, it may not be necessarily the person who's going to apply some tools to the data itself. But again, it's all about the flexibility to the customer.
That's exactly right. So in this instance, what I want to do so I can jump in and decide to upload some images that I've collected. Now, in this instance, I'm just going to upload a couple to make sure it's easy to view, but straight away you can see that it's given me a 2-dimensional representation of the images. I can reshape my area to decide which of those images I want to upload or process. So as you'll see later on from IMC, you're able to do some field verification. You're also able to do some desktop field verification with a basic connection to see that everything is there. This works very well in 2 dimensions, but when you're doing things like facade inspections, it's also important to have the option to do your previewing in 3 dimensions as well. So I can then, inside the browser, before uploading everything to the cloud, start to view that same data set.
So keep in mind, the data has not yet been uploaded. We are just visualizing before you upload, giving you the flexibility to know you're uploading what you felt was right information.
Yep, that's exactly right. So if I'm happy with the data that I've selected to start to put in the cloud, I can then step forward Because it's turned green, it immediately has worked out that you've got a couple of different projects in that location. So in this instance, I can either create a new project because maybe I'm doing a different kind of inspection or I want to engage a different team. Here, I'm just going to join it to the flight that I already have. It's pulled out the flight data in there. I can add GCPs if I want to make sure the data is co-registered correctly or to have a better accuracy. And then, as Neil said before, then I'm faced with a couple of decisions. Do I want to process with Pix4D engine? Do I want to process with Bentley? If you have people who are not as skilled in the field, we give them some quick options in terms of you can upload high quality or you can upload high speed. Or at the same time, for the more expert users, we've pulled in some of the more custom tools, custom attributes that you can change to make the image process. So in this instance, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and just start that running in high quality. And it'll start uploading in the background and start to process there, but that doesn't mean that I can't keep going and working. And this is a big, powerful attribute of the cloud platform. I can have a suite of projects that I've uploaded, they're uploading in the background in the cloud whilst I'm starting to work. And at the same time, whilst I'm inside the project itself, I can actually start to play with those images themselves and start to inspect. So in this instance, the roof inspection has detected that we had multiple flights taken in the same location. We had on 2 previous locations flights that we've done. And it's
hold on, so let's just make sure we have time to spend. So what you're showing here is a history of flights that were done at the same location.
That's right.
Okay. And you're able to then, they were all processed, or they are in the process, you could add a new project?
Yeah, that's right. The idea is that to be able to allow you to start working whilst everything's happening in the background.
Yeah.
You can see that we have the finished projects that are already there. You can also see the project that is starting to upload. And as those images are added, you can actually go into them and start to make annotations on the site or make notes that you've taken in the field if you have been out there with field operators.